Many people claim that Thomas the Tank Engine is a safe show for kids to watch. Those people are flat out liars. This show is filled with disturbing imagery, violent actions, and dark themes. Believe me, if you thought the fan-made stuff I reviewed was dark, you'd be surprised to know that the actual original show and even books were dark at times as well. Like, it's not as if some of this stuff just came out of nowhere. For example, the original context to Smudger in Project G1.
One winter's night when the cold wind blew, the engines found it hard to sleep.
I love the sound and wind and creaking wood in the background, like that isn't creepy as hell.
What we need, suggested Toby, is to listen to a story. Yes, agreed Percy, a mysterious story. But, added Duck, it must have a happy ending.
Oh, I wouldn't hold your breath on that one.
Driver told me a story, said Thomas, so everyone listened. Once upon a time, began Thomas, there were 3 little engines who lived in their own little shed on their own little railway.
I always found it strange as this was seen as an old story, like these engines exist. Thomas has even spoken with them several times.
Other engines came and went, but Duke outlasted them all.
Hit Entertainment and Mattel would say otherwise.
Stewart and Falcon used to call him Grandpuff. They were fond of him, but they got very tired of hearing all about his grace.
My perverted mind is making me think of the fan art creepy people on the internet would make with that face.
Sometimes they would tease him and chant, engines come and engines go. Grandpuff goes on forever.
Until, of course, you reboot the show and make it look like literal fucking hellspawn.
You impertinent scallywags, Duke would say. Whatever are you engines coming to?
That's what she said. Come on, Joe, I already made a sex joke.
Never mind, Grandpuff. We're only young once. Well, you'd better mind, unless you want to end up like Smudger. Oh, Grandpuff, whatever happened? Smudger, said Duke, was a show-off.
Good lord, he looks like a fucking psychopath. Doesn't help that his whistle sounds like something from your nightmares.
He rode roughly and often came off the rails. I warned him to be careful, but he took no notice. Listen, Dookie, he snarled. Who worries about a few spills?
Of course, he fails to mention Smudger had faulty wheel alignment. Got a virtual signal, don't we?
But Smudger just laughed. Until one day, manager said he was going to make him useful at last. Smudger stopped laughing then. Well, why? What did he do? He turned him into a generator. He's still out there behind our shed. He'll never move again.
Duke, no. No, that's not how this works. This isn't a ha-ha, he got what he deserved kind of story. That's fucking horrifying. That story was, what, 50 seconds long? Stephen King couldn't tell a story that fucked up that quick. This son of a bitch just had to rat for the end of eternity, as if that's fair at all. A story within a story. Storyception.
Then hard times came. The mines in the hills closed. And the railway was closed, too. People came to buy the engines. We'll take Stewart and Falcon. No one wanted Duke. They thought him too old. Cheer up, Grandpuff, called Stewart. We'll find you a nice railway, and then you can come and keep us in order.
Nope, that bastard is done. They scrapping his ass.
They tried to be brave and cheerful, but no one really thought their dreams would come true.
Story of my life.
Duke's driver and fireman oiled and greased him one last time. They sheeted him snugly and said goodbye. Then they had to go away and find work. Duke was alone.
Now you suddenly know how old Smudger feels. Suddenly it isn't so funny, is it, Grandpuff?
Winter torrents washed soils from the hills. Trees and bushes grew all around. You wouldn't have known a shed was there.
Jesus, was he in there for 4,000 years?
Let alone a little engine asleep inside.
That's how one loses their mind, just sitting alone in the dark.
That's not a happy ending, cried Percy.
No fucking shit, Sherlock.
Ah, murmured Thomas. There will be one, but that'll have to wait until next time.
Wow, Thomas. What a dick move to just leave people hanging. What is this, 1001 Arabian Nights? Although, the story inside a story inside a story thing, cliffhanger endings. Shit, it actually might be.
It was a beautiful night on the island of Sodor. The day's work was done, and the engines puffed safely home.
Thomas,
Whispered Percy.
will you tell us the end of the story?
You mean the one about Duke, the lost engine?
Exactly.
He went to sleep, and everything around him changed. But Duke was never forgotten. Years went by.
Years. Yeah, that's putting it lightly.
We want to find Duke, they said, and make him happy again. Maps lay everywhere.
Again, he must have been there for a shit ton of years if they need a damn map to find him. The story of Duke was originally based on a story of a Brazilian engine that was left in a shed for 30 years. So I guess we could assume that Duke was down there for 30 years. They're putting a lot of faith into that viaduct that hasn't been maintained for decades.
At last, their search ended. Quite by accident.
Okay, so I take it that guy is now paralyzed from the neck down.
Stewart and Falcon were ready with a big welcome.
He's here.
They whispered.
Shh, shh.
You woke me up, grumbled Duke. In my young days, engines were seen and not heard, Grandpuff. We know.
Not gonna lie, this is a pretty wholesome scene.
But Duke's old eyes twinkled, and for the first time in years, he smiled as he dozed in the sun. And that, said Thomas, is the whole story. Did you like it?
Yes, indeed,
Agreed the engines.
especially the happy ending.
Happy ending except for Smudger. He gets to stay dead, I guess.
Oliver had been to the works to be mended. Some troublesome cars tricked him, and the Great Western engine fell into the turntable well.
I like how Duck is just casually smiling as Oliver gets knocked into the turntable well.
Now Oliver was as good as new, but he was still worried about cars. I'd rather not use them, he puffed to himself.
Good luck with that, buddy. Only main characters don't get to use trucks. Also, could someone explain to me why the US versions say cars and the UK ones say trucks? I don't get it. Like, they still keep other British terms like cross instead of mad, so why?
But the cars sang songs rude and loud. Scruffy, their leader, led the chorus.
So is Scruffy like a mob boss or a death cult leader? I never understood the ideology of the troublesome truck.
Oliver's no use at all, thinks he's very clever, says that he can manage us, that's the best joke ever. When he orders us about with the greatest folly, we just push him down the well. Pop goes old Ollie.
Real creative there. Just swap some of the words of Pop Goes the Diesel around, which made sense because Diesel rhymes with Weasel. Who made you leader again?
But they couldn't be everywhere, and everywhere they weren't, the cars began again.
Oliver's no use at all, thinks he's very clever.
That face is scary, but I honestly love this dolly. It's very iconic. I could probably make a whole video about the brilliant cinematography of the older seasons of Thomas, but that would probably not be funny, and I'd sound like a pretentious asswipe that would bore you all to sleep.
At last, the engines gave up. We're sorry, Oliver, they said. It's really my fault, said Oliver sadly. I shouldn't have fallen in the turntable well. Toad, the brake van, felt sorry for Oliver, too.
Oh yeah, I forgot this episode was about Toad.
Next morning, he spoke to Douglas.
I'm worried, Mr. Douglas. This disrespect for engines, where's it going to end?
The voice Carla does for Toad sounds like a mix between Humphrey Bogart and Donald Duck.
Who knows, sighed Douglas.
I've got a plan, Mr. Douglas. May I stay here today and help Mr. Oliver?
Ugh, the music cue gives me goosebumps every time.
We are both Great Western and must stand together.
Certainly, Toad, replied Douglas and puffed away.
I know we all like to debate on the best narrative for the show, but can we all agree that Carlin utterly kills it with these voices? Like, he was able to switch between Toad's voice, his normal voice, and Douglas's voice instantly.
Goodness gracious, Toad, I don't think you should suggest such a thing to Oliver.
Such sarcasm. Duck just likes watching things go to hell, doesn't he?
That's the way, Mr. Oliver,
whispered Toad.
and if you leave that Scruffy till last, then you'll have him behind you, and you can bump him if he starts his nonsense.
I honestly want to know how they got the railway men to agree with this. Like, this is how your ass gets fired.
Hold back, whispered Scruffy, and pass the word to the others.
The silly cars giggled.
I just realized this may be the only time the tanker trucks have faces in the classic series. Also, where's my man Fred? You thought I wouldn't notice?
He gave a great heave. Oh! groaned Scruffy. I don't like this. Go on, yelled Duck.
Duck, you are literally encouraging murder right now. Duck is a psychopath.
Oh! wailed Scruffy.
That sound of wood cracking is kind of disturbing considering the context of it being a living being.
I'm coming apart!
Jesus, look at his face. He's horrified.
And he did.
And that's a manslaughter charge.
Then there was trouble.
Well, Oliver, so you don't know your own strength, is that it?
No, sir, said Oliver nervously. Sir Topham had inspected Scruffy.
As I thought. Rotten wood, rusty frames. Maybe if we put you back together, you'll earn yourself a better name.
You know, this is probably the only time I've seen the Fat Controller talk to a truck.
Nowadays, Oliver only takes the cars when the other engines are busy. But they're always quick to warn each other.
Take care with Mr. Oliver. If you play tricks on him, you'll never be the same car again.
It's gonna take years of therapy for the trucks to live down what they saw.
Scruffy has learned his lesson and says nothing at all.
That's a better ending than what they give him in the Railway series where the bastard just fucking dies. Excuse me, is this how we're starting? Jesus, what the hell is this serial killer music?
And every year on the date of the accident, it runs again as a warning to others, plunging into the gap, shrieking like a lost soul.
Mom, pick me up, I'm scared.
Percy, what are you talking about? The ghost train. Drivers saw it last night.
Someone needs to put down the damn vape pen.
Thomas didn't believe in your ghost, said Percy next morning. His driver laughed. Neither do I. It was only a pretend ghost story. Liar! That evening, he came back from the harbor. Percy knew where he was, even in the dark. Crow's Farm Crossing. We shan't be long now.
Soda looks like a goddamn wasteland at night.
But a broken cartload of lime lay ahead. Sam the farmer had just gone for help.
Of course, of all the places it breaks down, it's right on the tracks. So hold on, Percy has this shocked expression here, but he clearly had to turn before he hit the cart. So how would he have seen it? Unless the driver saw it and applied the brakes, which makes even less sense.
Percy's driver explained what had happened.
Percy was never the same after his crippling cocaine addiction.
I'll see to it, said the signalman. But you'd better clean Percy, or people will think he's a ghost. Percy chuckled. Do let's pretend I'm a ghost and scare Thomas. That'll teach him to say I'm a silly little engine. Toby promised to help.
Let's fuck with Thomas because he didn't believe a story that we established was already fake.
Thomas was being oiled up.
Stop!
For his evening train.
Oh, for his evening train. Okay, that makes sense. Phew.
Percy's had an accident, cried Toby. Poor engine, said Thomas. Botheration. That means I'll be late.
Wow, you sure sound broken up about your friend getting an accident. Fuck you, Thomas, you dickhead.
They've cleared the line for you, but there's something worse. Out with it, Toby. I can't wait all evening. I've just seen something, said Toby. It looked like Percy's ghost. It said it was coming here to warn us. Puh, who cares? Don't be frightened, Toby. I'll take care of you.
Wait, so Toby is implying that Percy is fucking dead and Thomas is just like, whatever.
Let me in! Let me in! Wailed Percy. No, no, not by the smoke on my chimney, chim. I'll chuff and I'll puff and I'll break your door in.
This actually does still kind of creep me out a bit, just the doors slowly opening with Percy staring right at you.
Oh, dear, exclaimed Thomas. It's getting late. Oh, I'd no idea. Oh, I must find Annie and Clarabelle.
Honestly, Thomas took that like a champ. He just got out of there. He didn't scream or have an over-the-top reaction. Must be hard to phase this guy.
Well, what do you know about that? Anyone would think, chuckled Toby, that our Thomas had just seen a ghost.
What the hell was that? Like when he said ghost, it got all distorted.
A ghost.
One day, Rusty helped Peter Sam to a water tower. Peter Sam felt much better after his long drink, but the freight cars were bored. Let's break away. Their loads were heavy and the couplings old. One snapped.
Honestly, the cars should just have their sentience stripped away. I don't know how you do it, but it should happen. They're more trouble than they're worth.
A sign read slow, steep bends and ravine ahead, but the silly cars never saw it.
I mean, do you think they'd even care if they did see it?
Then, it was too late.
Not even 60 seconds and 6 fucking trucks just died. This is going to be a good one.
This was our fault. We didn't secure them properly. We'll have to get help to pull them out.
First of all, the cars made the decision to break the couplings. And also, who the hell puts a water tower right on a hill where someone could roll down and possibly fall off a viaduct? Like what just happened here?
Sir Topham Hatt will be very annoyed. And he was. You will work in the yards until I can trust you again.
Was he mad at Peter Sam over this? Because last I checked, he's incapable of determining how well the cars are secured. But sure, blame the engine. Talk about profiling.
Fancy not securing your freight cars on a hill. They'll come back to spook you and your special funnel. Woo!
I like that sound.
And who's to say you're not afraid of ghosts? Snapped Rusty. Ghosts? Things that go bump in the night? Rubbish! Well, I'll tell you a story that will make your funnel quiver, Rusty said.
When is it ever not time for a story in this damn show?
It was a misty, moonlit night. Suddenly, the engine lost control and plunged over the side into the swamps below. He was never found again. But many a workman will tell you that when the moon is full, they have seen the little engine trying to get home. But he never reaches the other side.
Bro, are you for real now? That's fucking terrifying. How many nightmares are you planning on giving children?
Let's play a trick on Duncan. The next day he spoke to Duncan's driver and fireman, who agreed. We'll do it tonight.
Do you guys have wives or kids to go home at night as opposed with fucking with a steam engine? Could you please stop with that damn sound effect? It literally puts chills down my spine.
Haunted bridge. Rubbish, snorted Duncan. It's as tame as a pet rabbit.
I don't know about that one, Duncan. Rabbits can be pretty fucked up.
When night fell, they set off. The mists were rising around the old iron bridge. Duncan whistled, and the sound echoed everywhere.
This should be Emmy Award-winning sound design here, folks. Why'd they overlook it?
Then, ahead, he saw flickering lights. His driver knew they were only insects that shine brightly at night, but to Duncan they looked like an engine.
Excuse me, did the driver and fireman know that the fireflies would perfectly align into an engine shape? Did they pay them off or something? Because those are some convenient bugs.
It's the ghost! Take me back! Take me back, please! When Duncan reached the safety of his shed, he closed his eyes tightly. Spooked, are you, Duncan? Laughed his driver. No, I'm asleep. And Duncan refused to open his eyes. He did, though, when he thought his driver wasn't looking, just to make sure that he was still there.
Nice mental trauma there. Literal years of therapy. Not for Duncan, for me.
Once an engine attached to a train was afraid of a few drops of rain.
Ew, who let Sharon Miller write a line?
It went into a tunnel and squeaked through its funnel and wouldn't come out again.
That was a pretty British pronunciation of again for the US dub. Ah, fuck, now you got me saying it. Also, the track isn't even attached.
The rain will spoil my lovely green paint and red stripes, he said. Then along came Sir Topham Hatt, the man in charge of all the engines on the island of Sodor.
Why isn't James worried about his paint getting ruined? Like, isn't James' biggest character trait that is vanity over his paint job?
We will pull you out, said Sir Topham Hatt. But Henry only blew steam at him. Everyone pulled except Sir Topham Hatt, because, he said, my doctor has forbidden me to pull. Then they tried pushing from the other end. Sir Topham Hatt said, 1, 2, 3, push. But he didn't help. My doctor has forbidden me to push, he said.
That's gotta be the most underrated joke in the show.
Everyone argued with Henry. Look, it has stopped raining, they said. Yes, but it will begin again soon, said Henry. And what would become of my green paint with red stripes then?
How the hell do you know? Wouldn't staying in a dirty tunnel be worse for your paint?
Eventually, even Sir Topham Hatt gave up. We shall take away your rails, he said, and leave you here until you're ready to come out of the tunnel.
The biggest pet peeve of mine is when people either didn't do their research or just didn't care, act like Henry was locked in the tunnel to die in there. Like, it wasn't even meant to be permanent, for fuck's sake. They let him out in the next episode. A certain US president would like this episode. What? He isn't out of office yet, I can still make jokes about him. Now you just permanently fucked up that whole line. Why not get like 4 or 5 engines to push his ass out? For the love of God, Montressa!
Soot and dirt from the tunnel had spoiled his lovely green paint and red stripes anyway. How long do you think Henry will stay in the tunnel before he overcomes his fear of the rain and decides to journey out again?
Like 1 episode? Anyways, I think that's enough for today, so later.